There does not seem to be much room for hope or for political rebirth at the end of Demons. The town is in tatters. There is no one there to pick up the pieces. The list of the dead at the end of the book is quite impressive. The character that is most closely associated with principles that could lead to rebirth is dead. Shatov's wife had returned and given birth, and they were going to live together and raise the child together. He had even said that his old wife that they could work together on a new path, the three of them. Now that new path is a foundation for hope. But he is killed, and his wife and child die a few days later, 3 dead bodies, and that avenue for hope is closed. Perhaps there could be a relationship between Stravogin, who forgives himself, and Lisa. They were very much like one another, after all. Or perhaps Lisa could recognize the stability offered by her solid mate Mavriky and marry him. They are, after all, engaged and very publicly together for most of the novel. Both of those men, after all, have demonstrated that they could rally people to their side and gain their allegiance. Stravogin is so impressive that Pyotr wants him to lead the post-revolution world. Mavriky has been a leader of men in the army, if he is a bit of a puppy dog with Lisa. But no and no. Instead of these futures, Lisa is killed. Stravogin kills himself, and Mavriky leaves town, as we learn in the conclusion on page 673, where it says that he has gone away somewhere altogether. 2 more dead bodies, 1 guy left town. These relationships are dead ends too. It seemed like something could arise between Stepan Tropinovich and the Bible-hoffing Christian, Sofia. He has been humiliated in very public ways and might be open to a private life. He does convert to Christianity. She seems to be a solid believer. Perhaps in his old age, he could become a responsible parent for once. He is not that old, after all. He has certainly learned more than anyone else in the novel about the difficulty of compromising with the revolutionaries. But Stepan, too, is dead, another dead body, and any relationship between Stepan Trofinovich and Sofia dies with him. That's a dead end, too. The governor and his wife are beyond hope, in the sense that they are beyond childbearing age and are paralyzed with systematic doubts about their ability to rule. They have, in any event, left the country for a couple of years of rest, relaxation, and recovery. There is no foundation for hope there. Dead end number 4. It is interesting and important that almost all Pyotr Stepanovich's accomplices confess their role in what happened to the legal authorities. They feel guilty and must admit it. Virginsky is taken with brain fever and only recovers when he gave up state's evidence about what had happened. Putin had acted in a way so as to be caught, and he will be brought to trial. He too is cooperating. Shigolyev was apparently not charged, but he is not going to be revolutionizing anytime soon. Only the true believer, Ensign Urkel, issues no words of repentance for the crime of killing Shatov. But this in itself shows the difficulty of combating revolutionary violence in this town. Urkel arouses sympathy because of his youth, and he seems to be a fanatical victim of a political seducer. Many in the town feel sorry for Urkel. The town does not want to punish him because he was a mere pawn in Pyotr Stepanovich's ambitions. Urkel does not see it that way, but the decent people of the town do. And all these men appear to be dead ends too. None point to political revival. There is a new community, as we find out at the end of Part 3, Chapter 7. Sofia, the Bible hawker, is going to live with Varvara. Both have been involved in nursing Stepan in his last days. Varvara had been quite impressed, though not entirely trustful, of Sofia, the young lady. And Varvara says that she will go around selling gospels with Sofia, since she has no one in the world left. But there are no men left in the town, or at least no men left in our story. Varvara can no longer bear children, and we see in the last pages of her book that her son has committed suicide. Dead end. Sofia is eligible, but no one seems to be worthy of her. The most logical match would have been Mavricky, since he had bailed her out of jail when the revolutionaries had framed her for obscenity. But he is gone, and it does not appear that there is much future for her in our one-horse town. No dead bodies here, but these ladies seem to be dead ends too. Perhaps the future lies with the proles, or rather with the freed serfs. There is certainly one character in the book who always shows an openness to being a nurse, a helpmate. This character is Dasha, or Darya Pavlovna, Shatov's sister and Varvara's servant. Earlier in the book, Varvara sought to match Dasha up with Stepan. He declined, not wanting to marry someone else's sins. Dasha had confessed to Stravogin after that she was ruining herself by not marrying, and that she alone would remain with him. She says this: "If it's not you I marry, I'll become a sister of mercy, or a sick nurse, or a Bible hawker, and sell gospels. I've decided it is so. I can't be anyone's wife. I can't live in a house like this either." Indeed, Stravogin writes his suicide note to Dasha, and she, with Varvara, discovers the body on the last lines of the book. We've already counted Stravogin's dead body. There seem to be no prospects here either. Dasha appears, from all indications, to be a dead end too. And on that particular point of dead ends, just think about how this great novel ends, with the suicide of a man who it is said is not insane, Stravogin, a man who rejects politics, who rejected personal relations, who rejected a life of faith, rejected all hope. Dead ends galore. So with all this in mind, I think it is best to see Dostoevsky's Demons as a profound statement of the problem, or of several problems. First, most obviously, liberalism slides into revolutionary activity. Nothing in liberalism resists it, and much abets it. Second, the Christianity depicted in the book is psychologically powerful, but politically impotent. Its power lies in how the characters who do wrong feel the need for forgiveness that follows, repentance. We see this in characters from Stravogin to the revolutionary lackeys. Only Pyotr Stepanovich and his furrow-browed, narrow-minded slave Urkel seem to be human beings without a conscience. They can burn the town down and murder without pangs of guilt. And they even have contempt for the scum, as Peter says, who feel the need to confess. So the idea of Christian sin and repentance and forgiveness explains the psychology of almost every character. The exceptions are Pyotr, Kirillov, and Urkel. This points to another aspect of the novel's teaching as a problem, the problem of nihilism, our third and probably the biggest problem. The two men who reject Christianity, Pyotr and Kirillov, are each in their own way seeking to displace the Christian view, but neither of them really show much sense about what they are replacing it with. Each is destructive. Kirillov kills himself. Pyotr destroys the town, and then he leaves. Each of them finds it necessary to demonstrate his significance in the world, but can only do it by destroying the world. Neither loves the world, or would even think about loving the world. Yet this needs to demonstrate the importance of the human will through destructive actions has been unloosed in the world. This is the modern situation, and containing the destructive passion that is seen in both Kirillov and Pyotr is no easy task. The book shows why this is no easy task, to contain destructive nihilism. It shows the results for a political community that cannot identify those who want to destroy it. It shows the alternatives to destructive nihilism are not yet strong enough to contain it. Precisely what the defeat of nihilism would look like, we cannot determine based on Demons. But we can determine what the success of nihilistic destruction is from Demons, and from Russian history in general. Dostoevsky proved to be a prophet of doom And none of his books is more prophetic in that regard than Demons. The alternative? That will require a different book and another video series. Thank you.